Hello and welcome to the Every Other Saturday podcast for another episode today where we're joined by a very special guest, being Sam North from Footy Adventures. If you'd like to say hello, mate.
Hi guys, thank you so much for having me on. Good to see you both again after meeting at the at George Square recently.
Aye, we met before we were doing this. We talked about doing a podcast, but we actually stumbled upon each other at the George Square celebrations and that, so that was
Yeah,
good.
small world. Yeah.
A very small world indeed. Joined by Lewis, of course, as well. Today we're just going to talk to Sam about his channel, about his thoughts on Rangers, living in Scotland, experiencing the rivalry, doing a lot of videos surrounding Scottish football, not just Old Firm content as well. And then we'll talk about obviously the Euros starting next week. You can see he's prepared already with his England shirt on, so that'll be a good discussion here. But as always, if you like our podcast and that, if you listen on Spotify, share it about. And if you're listening on YouTube, if you could like, subscribe, that'd be much appreciated. And then I'll put Sam's Footy Adventures in the description as well. You all know who he is, anyways. A permanent figure with a lot of Scottish football fans. So if you'd like to talk about your channel first, mate, if anybody that doesn't know who you are or that.
Yeah, just a huge football fan. So the idea was always just to cover as many teams as possible. Like I know that obviously the Old Firm is huge and the Old Firm will get numbers. Like you do a video about Celtic or Rangers and you're always going to get, a good amount of people tuning in. But it was also, I'm a huge football fan. I think you got to try and make videos that you enjoy as much as ones that you hope that people are going to watch. So I do enjoy making Old Firm videos. Don't get me wrong. I like making videos about Liverpool and Barcelona. But I also like exploring the Broras and the Wicks and the Stranraers and even like the Motherwells and stuff like that. So yeah, it's always just tried to start the channel to try and give all teams a voice, but also just for myself to go and see them. Like I love teams from all around the world. I'd play Football Manager as a kid or FIFA as a kid, and I'd always want to be random teams. I did a save at Shakhtar once and like weird teams like that where I just like leave after a couple of years, do my thing, go to each different club and stuff. And yeah, the dream for me was always to start a YouTube channel and just go and see different teams like, all around the world, really.
So is that your first project, this Footy Adventures? Have you had any sort of other avenues you've took with different channels or stuff that you'd want to make, or was
Not in
this the
YouTube.
first?
No, this is my first ever foray into YouTube and the world of social media, apart from just having my own personal Facebook account. But yeah, this was it really. Started it when I lived in Australia and had an office job and wanted to do something a bit different with my life. So went to a few games out there before traveling back towards the UK, and then obviously lockdown hit. So that was a bit of a like stumbling block, I suppose you could say. But yeah, started out in Australia and tried to carry it on really.
Aye, so Lewis, have you got any questions
I
yourself?
just touching on Australia there, since there's a link with Australia and Glasgow apparently going to be happening. Do you know anything about this big lad that's linked with the Celtic job then?
Well, yeah, I do actually. I don't know how to pronounce his surname, but I do know
right.
him. I don't think even people who know him could pronounce his surname. But no, he's very well thought after out in Australia. He's managed Melbourne Victory in the past, I believe, and I think he's won the title in Japan the last few years as well. So
I'm sure he has.
yeah, across Asia and across Australia, he is a hugely well thought of manager. And it's weird that I don't think he's ever managed in Europe before. I think I'm right in saying.
Yeah, I don't think he's made it to Europe yet.
No, I don't think he has, but I think, from what I've seen, heard in Australia, he is hugely like respected out there as a very big name. So we'll see if he can come and cut it over here. I suppose. Do you get the competitive bubble aspect of Glasgow in Japan and in Australia? I'm not quite sure. I suppose it's a different like kettle of fish in terms of the pressure over here in Glasgow. So we'll see how he does if it gets confirmed. I mean, I did a video with Ryan 118 about the appointment of Eddie Howe and how that was going to transform Celtic. So I don't want to speak about it too much just in case I curse Big Ange as well. But yeah, we'll see. Like if they do get him, should be a good appointment, I think.
I think that's similar to the Pedro Caixinha appointment for Rangers. He's a good coach, and I think it's Postecoglou. I might have butchered it, but if that's his name,
that's pretty bang on. Yeah.
So they're both good coaches in their own respect, for unknown sort of territories, and then they come to Scottish football, and Pedro Caixinha couldn't handle it. I don't know if that would be the same for him.
Players as well. I think a lot of players have that pressure when they think, "Oh, I'm going to go and play for Celtic or Rangers," and then they get here and realize that, especially in Glasgow, living here, it's such a bubble, and you don't realize how big it is when you don't come from here and then you move here and all you hear about is 10 in a row and Lisbon Lions and all that kind of stuff. So, I think the pressure gets to some players and managers for sure.
Aye, Lewis, anything else you wanted to ask there?
Just in terms of going around different Scottish grounds and things like that, has there been any ground that surprised you in terms of, like, if you went to like a Motherwell and it wasn't the best, but you've went to, I know you recently went to up in the Highlands. Was that a lot more surprising and things like that for you?
Yeah, there's loads of good Highland grounds, but yeah, it's it depends who you tip up to really. Like, I feel like a lot of the stadiums, even some Premiership stadiums, are very similar to stadiums that you'd see in the non-league. They'd either have plastic pitches or they'd be roughly the same size. And you look at teams in the Championship. You look at Arbroath in the Championship, or Alloa or someone like that who have been, second tier. But then you look at teams who are in, non-league, Highland League. They're very similar looking stadiums in terms of the size and stuff. So I don't think where they are in a pyramid really reflects the stadiums. So when you're going to a non-league stadium, you could see one that's brilliant, but you could go to a Premiership stadium and see one that's a bit crap, really. But I'd say that, some of the ones that surprised me was Stranraer. Stranraer's a great ground down at Stair Park. I don't know if you guys have ever been, but it's a cool little ground down there. And Dumbarton have got a cool ground, and there's a few, like Scotland's got some amazing stadiums. And I've not been to Fort William yet, but that's one that's on the bucket list a little bit. I think it's more of just a public pitch than a stadium, but there's a few out there that surprise you. And like I say, you turn up to some that are bigger teams in inverted commas, and the stadium's a plastic pitch and only got 2-3 stands or whatever. And then you go to one that's non-league and it's got grass and it's got maybe one stand and the rest is cool terracing or something like that. So there's certainly some surprising stadiums, but it's just about getting out there and seeing them.
I think that's one of the sort of good things about Scottish football, is there's so much heritage behind all those stadiums in the lower leagues, and even with stadiums like Ibrox and stuff like that, a lot of history behind everything in Scottish football. I think that's why I love it so much. Obviously, supporting Rangers and stuff like that. I love all the history that comes with Scottish football. I've watched a good number of your videos going to stadiums like that as well, and it's really interesting to see some of the history and stuff that maybe I wouldn't have seen before. So I like that about all the Scottish stadiums, to be quite honest with you.
Yeah, they're good. They've got a good feel about them. And you imagine that, Celtic or Rangers would play at one of these smaller stadiums in the Cup or even in the league. Like, it doesn't take much for a small team to rise up through the ranks and get up into the top division, because there's only 10 teams per division, you know what I mean? So there's not a huge amount of space between them. So it wouldn't take much for, an old firm team to go to one of these places. They'd sell out and, you get proper close to the players and stuff like that. Like you say, like, Scottish stadiums are brilliant, like some of the best. And Scottish fans, I think there was a stat I saw somewhere that said we've got the highest percent of the population out of any European country that go to watch football. So that just goes to prove how well supported Scottish teams are in smaller places.
100%. And then, so talking just on the stadiums and that, like Ibrox, what was your thoughts going there for the first time? Were you blown away by the stadium?
I loved it. Yeah, the first time I went was probably about 11 months, maybe a year ago now. I came back to the UK about a week before the lockdown in 2020 in March. And it took till about June that I was even allowed to go and have a look at it, even just from the outside. I know restrictions and stuff for being outside were sort of a lot looser this year than last year.
Yeah,
of course. But blown away by just, as a kid, I always grew up, sorry to say this on your channel, but as a kid, I always grew up thinking I'd love to go to Celtic Park over any stadium in Scotland. But actually going to Ibrox and seeing it for the first time and learning about the stand and about Bill Struth and John Gregg and everything that surrounds it is brilliant. But that's the beauty of both Old Firm stadiums. There's a lot to see on the outside. But going to Ibrox for the first time and seeing it was great. But again, I've not been able to see a game. So I saw it from the outside first last year, like I say, and then I made numerous videos from outside and just different topics around Rangers. But it wasn't until, March this year when you obviously wrapped up the league, when Celtic drew in Dundee, and seeing the fans then, and then seeing the fans a couple of months later on the trophy day, that was when I first saw sort of the full power of Rangers.
Nah, because I did both the days were mental. Like I've not even seen anything like that as a Rangers fan all my life as well. It was mental.
Suppose
Those
everyone was
both.
it was a bit of an explosion after being inside for so long and obviously
Mhm.
waiting for 10 years and going down through the divisions and stopping 10 in a row. It was like all of a culmination of all these different things, which is why it was like that, I suppose.
Yeah,
More
just built
different
up.
than any other title celebration that you'd have had.
Aye, definitely. And then sort of stadiums you've not yet visited, can't be in Scotland or it could be all over the world. Which stadiums are you looking to visit? Hopefully COVID gets better, so you could maybe go abroad and stuff like that. But what's on your
Germany
horizon?
is always high on the bucket list. So I've got, there's Dortmund and Munich that I'd love to go and see that I've never been to before. They're obviously the two big ones, but also Schalke, Bayern Leverkusen have a cool stadium, the Bay Arena. I'm sure Rangers. I'm not sure you got to play there, did you? Wasn't that in a neutral venue?
Oh, I think it was in a neutral venue. Aye, the away
That was
leg.
just
Aye.
that was just when the lockdown was coming in. But Leverkusen, Schalke, St. Pauli have got a cool team, and Hamburg. So yeah, German stadiums. There's not many I've not seen in Scotland. It's just about going to games and seeing the fans now for me in Scotland, really. But yeah, down in England, I like to go to the London Stadium. I've not been there yet. Spurs, new stadium, not been there. See, I've been to a lot of the English stadiums just from being a football fan, living in England for my childhood, but I've not been able to go for my channel because I've lived in the UK during COVID. I've lived up in Scotland, so I've literally not been able to go down, which is a shame. But yeah, I'd like to make videos of all the big and small English clubs, to be honest. But in terms of seeing new ones, yeah, Dortmund, Bayern, Spurs, West Ham Stadium, as well as a few others. Fratton Park, for some reason, Portsmouth has always sort of ignited my senses for some reason. That seems like a small-ish, but sort of big team, if you know what I mean. Small ground, big team sort of thing. So there's a few stadiums, out there that I still want to go to.
Nah, I'd say Dortmund for me is high up there. I would love to go to a game at their stadium. Looks mental, but hopefully,
for a lot of fans. San Siro as well. San Siro is getting knocked down soon, and Juve Stadium, Stadio Olimpico, Italy have got some quite iconic stadiums that I've not been to in France as well. I've not seen a lot of grounds in France. I haven't seen any actually. So yeah, PSG Stadium, but also the Velodrome, Marseille. That'd be cool, and Lyon. There's some cool teams in France.
A lot of really good ones in France and all over the top 5 leagues. And you were saying about Fratton Park. I think Sunderland's maybe comes under. Obviously, they've got a massive stadium of light in that, but they're stuck down the leagues now. They're a big team, like Portsmouth are. It'd be good to see those stadiums as well. Aye,
definitely. And I've got
Stadium of Light's up there. That far from Scotland.
I was just going to get in there, lads. Sorry, I was just going to recommend a stadium for you, my son, as well. Representing the Marcelo Bielsa area. Maybe go to Ellen Road, get yourself a wee.
Ellen Road, of course.
He's a Leeds man as well.
Outside of Europe as well. Outside of Europe, you're talking about Bielsa. Look at Boca Juniors and River Plate and some of the ones in South America. Santos, the Maracanã. All these iconic stadiums out in South America. That'd be the dream, but
definitely
a few more 100,000 subs before I can afford to go there.
Definitely bucket list stuff. So, Lewis, is there anything else you'd like to ask before we move on to talking about Rangers?
Just touching on the stadiums, I just wanted to ask, what possessed you to go to Slavia Prague?
Weird one, actually. I was in Amsterdam the week before, and I was traveling around Europe at the time. And I was staying in a hotel, which every room is themed like a new city, right? And like every room has a city theme. So they have like 200-300 rooms in this hotel, but one will be London, one will be Glasgow, one will be Tokyo. The one that I got was Prague, and I was like, right. I'll go to Prague. And then when I was there, Sparta Prague were playing twice at home, so it kind of all fit quite nicely. I know obviously Prague got a very, very bad reputation for obviously the reasons from when Rangers played Slavia, but everyone I met there was absolutely top class. Like the people that I met at Sparta were so cool, and just the feel of the football out in those kind of Central and Eastern European places is a lot different to what you get over here. I feel like over here there's a lot of red tape. You got to be very official with everything, whereas out there it's a lot more rugged in a strange way. But why I went to Prague was literally just because of the room that I stayed in Amsterdam.
Interesting wee story that we were talking about that before we came on there. he was asking me about the Slavia Prague stuff, because obviously we was playing them a few months ago, it turned sour and stuff like that, and people now look at them as that sort of like hated club. But if you're saying it was nice to be like around the city and everybody was
I think
nice.
it's very easy to see, one negative story, because negative stories blow up more than any positive story ever will. So yeah, I think a lot of people's opinions on maybe the whole country in general would have been tarnished by the actions of like one or a couple of people or whatever. So that's a shame. It's the same with the title celebrations, like the way it was reported in the media. Like my video was chatting to people like you, chatting to other fans. There was probably 100,000 people there, right? You could have doubled Ibrox and put all those people in 2 Ibrox probably. So there was 100,000 people there, let's say. I saw no violence, nothing like that. But the way, you see the papers and all the comments that you got on my video and stuff, you'd have thought it was 100,000 people that got arrested and 20 that were peaceful, but it's the other way around. It's like these negative stories are just out there and they get so much more attention than the positive. And again, that's something that I've tried to do for my channel, is show positivity through football, especially in Scotland. Like I feel like a lot of English people look down on Scottish football and stuff, and you look at the history of it, and English football probably wouldn't be where it would be without the influence of Scotland. So
exactly, 100%. And then moving on, then if we talk about Rangers, then like you were at the title celebrations, you were at the day when we won the league. What is your thoughts on Rangers season as a whole?
It's been amazing. I thought they'd do well. I honestly did. Like, I know it's easy to say, like, after the fact, I thought Rangers were going to win the league, but I never said it anywhere because I wasn't 100% confident on it. Like, I did think that Celtic probably would just edge it. But I thought that Stevie had closed the gap. But to have done it, right at the last, it would have been 10 in a row. What you make of it, I'm sure that, whenever I talk about Rangers winning 55 leagues, I get comments from Celtic fans saying it's their first league title. But then when I make a video the other way around, like there'll be comments the other way. Like there'll be people saying it's not 9 in a row because you were handed one and Rangers weren't in the league. So, but it would have been 10 in a row. It would have been their bragging right for years and years. But to see Rangers do it in the way they did was a huge surprise. I think, like I say, it was in my mind closer than what it would have been, but I wouldn't have put it past Rangers to have won the league. But to have done what they did was quite amazing, and all the clean sheets and barely conceding any goals, like that is, it's insane. You go from losing at home to Hamilton, was it last season? In that to barely conceding any goals, it's absolutely insane.
You see, it's at that point where we finished last season early, obviously due to that, and I would have never believed this would have happened the way it did. Like, I would say, right, we're going to be more equipped to go and win a league title, but for the fact that we went in the full season unbeaten, giving up very few goals, beating Celtic every time, drawn once, it's dream sort of stuff. Like, that's the perfect season in my eyes.
It couldn't have gone any better for Rangers, but it also couldn't have gone any worse for Celtic. Like, it wasn't even like it was kind of close in a way. It was just, you look at their trip to Dubai and all the debacle around that and other controversies that they've had this season, some of their signings and the stuff with Lennon and the stuff that's just happened to was it Peter Lawler? Is that his name?
Peter Lawwell, aye.
His house.
Yeah. You look at stuff that's happened to him, like it's just all gone wrong. Like for them this season, it's just been like an absolute shambles for them. But yeah, Rangers have obviously pounced on the opportunity. But even if Celtic would have actually done okay, Rangers have done so amazingly well. I don't think that Celtic would have still got anywhere near him.
No, it was literally just went as possibly good as it did for Rangers and just fell off a cliff for Celtic. It was like the turning point in the season, as you could say, like the Dubai thing. But I think, see, the first Old Firm game of the season, Rangers went there, dominated the game, although Celtic had issues with their team and such. But that just sort of set the tone for the full season for me. Like going there, dominating, and then Rangers never really looked back, but Celtic, like that defeat really hurt them, and you could see after every week there was new stories coming out about players not wanting to be there, like stuff happening in the fan base, like Ross County defeat out the cup and stuff like that.
But it is easy to say Rangers have had a great season, but at the end of the day, I think the cup, exits were pretty poor, and it would have been good to see them maybe go one further in the Europa League as well. Like Slavia, at the end of the day, had a couple of good players, but still, like you look at the heritage of the two teams, and Slavia Prague they don't really like frighten you, if you know what I mean, when you see them on paper. So maybe going an extra round and drawing Arsenal would have been good, but and maybe another cup or something. But just I'm sure at the start of the season you'd have taken getting knocked out of all those to win the league. So
Aye, that's exactly it. Like the cup defeats, me and Lewis have spoke about it many times. They were really poor. That was the sort of dampener on the season. As you say, Slavia Prague. Like, we looked and we researched about them all. They had a really good league campaign this season. They were unbeaten, if I remember as well. So we knew we were going to face a tough game because like you get to the rounds in Europe if you're a really good side. But like yourself, I've seen a few players that I thought really decent players that could hurt us, but I never felt that there was much. I felt it was an opportunity missed, but obviously that was highlighted then for the issues with it. But Lewis, what's your thoughts on like the cup exits? It's been months now. Like, how do you reflect on it?
No, I'm still the same as I was when we were also doing the podcast. They just hurt. They do hurt, obviously, but as he said, you know what I mean. I'd take the league over any and do it unbeaten as we did. So I'll take that and just go
I'm
for
sure, I'm
the
sure there
treble
would
next
have been
season.
so much focus on the league.
Mm-hmm.
There would have been so much focus from Stevie and the lads to make sure that they won the title that maybe you go into those games and there's something in the back of your mind. There's something in the way that you prepare for the games, maybe that we as fans just don't really understand or whatever. That just means that you're destined not to win them in a way.
Yeah.
But at least for you guys, it was St. Johnstone who have done it. It was a historic year for them. And I suppose for you, with your rivalry with Celtic, I mean, it would have probably hurt more if Celtic would have won the cup double. So
yeah, you can look at it that way. St. Johnstone had a really good season as well. In their own right, alongside Rangers this season. But what is your thoughts on like any star players like if you've watched Rangers many times this season, like who's sort of stood out to you as like, oh, they're a really good player, they could either go far or they've impressed me?
It's quite funny because you look at Rangers and while there are some great stars, I think as a team they're just like so solid. You know what I mean? Like just the spirit and like it feels like a lot of the players are sort of solid 7 or 8s, but you've got them all over the pitch, if you know what I mean. Whereas I'm a Liverpool fan, and when we almost won the title in 2014, it was like we got a load of 5s and 6s, but we got Luis Suarez, who's a 10, and Stevie G, who's like a 9 or 10 or whatever. So, but it feels to me like Rangers have just got like a really like good solid team. But if you had to say some, like look at Tav, like imagine being injured and being a right back and still being up the top of the scoring charts.
I know.
It's actually insane.
Yeah, that is crazy. His numbers he puts up.
Morelos,
right back.
I feel like Morelos is the player that could play in some of the biggest leagues.
He's that kind of player for me. Lewis loves that striker as well. Luis Suarez, as you touched on there, I put him in the same bracket as like your Diego Costa, Suarez, like Morelos, all like fiery forwards.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, they're those like forwards you'd probably hate to play against and would do anything to win, kind of thing. But yeah, again, I've been impressed. Patterson as well. The young players that you've got coming through, it's exciting because you do have the old ones like the McGregors, but you've got the Pattersons, and the balance is really good to bring in as the others may sort of fade out. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see kind of how they add to the squad. What are the rumors like? What do you think positional wise Rangers need to buy to be able to maybe go that extra stage in Europe? What are your thoughts? And maybe even retain the title?
You can go for this one first, Lewis.
Oh, you want me to go for it first? Well, I definitely feel we need maybe another player out in the wing. Maybe one or two, maybe more midfielders, just as we've seen with Scotty Arfield and things like that. And a bit injury prone, it seems like now with Scotty and Ryan Jack as well. So I would say maybe one or two more midfielders. If Barisic goes, Jack, I say it all the time, I'll say it again. If he goes, I'm not bothered that much, as I say, put Patterson out in the left for me. But with this new boy that's coming in, that me and Jack have been sort of watching interviews and things about, the boy from Belgium, I forgot his name, Jack.
Sakala.
Aye, I'm looking forward to this lad coming in. I think he's going to be a really exciting signing for us.
He's a striker, right?
Aye, he is, aye. It's a striker, aye.
But my thoughts on that are we're solid with our goalkeeping for the now. Right back obviously is not an issue. Our centre back positions, maybe one or two go out. Like maybe one leaves permanently, one on loan, because we've got Katic coming back, we've got Edmondson coming back, Simpson. Left back, as you said, Lewis there. Barisic could go in the summer. It's been a lot of talk for Rangers fans that maybe it's time to cash in. Need to keep a hold of Glenn Kamara, Rebo. But in that area, I'd be looking for maybe a box-to-box midfielder. because Ryan Jack, as you said, Scott Arfield becoming a bit injury prone. Don't know if they're going to cut it at that next step now. Yanis Hadji, Roof, Morelos, key to keep all of these guys at the club to then progress. But I think maybe a midfielder, couple of midfielders, maybe a man out wide, we should be okay.
So the same as me, aye.
Maybe a striker could come in as well. We talked about that in a couple of weeks ago's podcast. Like Cedric Itten came with a lot of promise. Me and Lewis, big fans of him, but he's not really had the chance to show yet. Maybe if he goes out on loan for a season, he'll get that. Defoe is unsure as well. So maybe another striker, because I know Gerrard likes having 4 available. So we'll see how it goes. But I feel like that's maybe we'll be equipped best next season with them.
Cool.
Just another question for you here. Sorry, Jack, to butt in. Just going back to it, you were touching on obviously if you get enough sort of subscribers and that to go to South America. I mean, that sounds exciting to me. Like that's a dream for me as well. Just I've got Bielsa's book, and when you're reading all the kind of stuff that he did over there, man, it seems just a different world, a different all about football over there.
Yeah, it seems it's just like football on different continents is just so like interesting to me. Like I say, like playing Football Manager, I'd always try and just be weird and different teams, if you know what I mean. But yeah, like you see Messi coming through at Newell's Old Boys. I think that's Bielsa's club, wasn't it? Newell's Old Boys.
It was, aye.
But yeah, like to watch football on different continents would just be unreal. Honestly, like that'd be the best, best way to spend time.
Definitely.
Where would you want to
go? I'm the same. I'd go to South America. I'd be going to Spain for
MLS
Atletico.
Would be cool as well. MLS would be decent.
Well, MLS, I don't know about the MLS, to be honest. I'd probably just go out there just to see America, but I maybe give the football a shout, I suppose. David Beckham's apparently got a good team in it.
Yeah.
There's obviously like plenty of good places. Like I like the idea of the South America stuff as well. I really like players that come for there. And then obviously good history with River Plate and like Boca Juniors and stuff like that, big rivalries, and that's just similar to up here. But I think I agree with both of you on there. A lot of ambition for travelling and going to places, because we're the exact same. We love football just as much as yourself, so it is a dream.
Hopefully you can win the Champions League this season and then go Club World Cup somewhere.
Exactly. We're not writing ourselves off yet, but that's a big one.
I think in a couple of years they're changing it, so it's going to be. I think it'll be every 4 years, and even the Europa League winner will go into it, and I think that even the runners-up of like 4 finals or something like that, plus the winners.
I seen
tournament,
it was 2024. I think that comes into effect, because I remember the whole Super League scandal over the past couple of weeks there, and then that was when UEFA were putting their plans ahead for the next phase of the Champions League, and I believe it's next season in Scotland anyway that we get a guaranteed Champions League group stage place, because as it stands right now, Rangers go into the third qualifying round for 2 legs and then a playoff round for 2 legs, and Celtic finishing second. Due to the coefficient points we've obviously got, they go into the second qualifying round for the Champions League. So obviously it's better in that respect, for Scotland anyway, but we'll need to see how it goes. It's going to be tough to make that jump.
And how do you two feel as Rangers fans that, Spurs, Man City were, invited into the Super League, Atletico Madrid, yet, no Rangers, no
Rangers. Lewis has a strong opinion on this, so I'll give it to him.
Yeah, I definitely do have a strong opinion on this, Jack. I mean, it's just money. You want to talk about money, you can just look at the recent transfer of managers that's going on here with Carlo Ancelotti going back to Real Madrid after being a disaster, I would say, at Everton. I mean, that just tells you everything about that football club, I would say. With Real Madrid, I just think they're a sinking ship, and they're just looking to tag on to the success of English football. You look at that Champions League final. To me, it was an entertaining game, to be honest with you, but you can just tell that the whole eyes of the world, I think, is football-wise are on England, I would say, in terms of the money that's there for it. And if you could do what you do, obviously travel about. But I just think Real Madrid and Barcelona and that aren't as appealing as they are, and they just wanted to attach themselves to the English clubs. But
I think, I like what you're saying. I think it's easy for people to say that money has made the English game, but I think the English game made the money come here. I don't think that, you put money into the Romanian league and it had become the Premier League. I think you need the heritage, the fans, the history, the stadiums, the infrastructure, and then the money comes, and the combination of that makes it incredible. Whereas you see like money in the Spanish leagues going to the top 2 or 3 teams, and then it doesn't really filter down. It still's not quite as good or whatever. So I think that it's easy for people to go, oh yeah, English teams are better because of the money, but English teams have been good before that, and you know.
No, I would definitely agree with what you're saying, but I do feel like a lot of people will look at that final and be like, well, that's just a money Champions League final with Chelsea and Man City, because that's all they've done is splash the cash. But I do agree when you look at teams like Leeds, Liverpool, you know, there's a lot of Nottingham Forest, there's a lot of teams there that have success around, do you know what I mean, the whole of England and Europe for your 2 teams. I can't believe you 2 are Liverpool fans, man. But
no, I forgot to mention that. If I watch English football, I'm a Liverpool fan, just along with my dad as well. That's the way I've been brought up as well.
Aye.
Yeah. So.
But no, well, I mean, you two will know more about European success than obviously myself. Obviously, did get robbed with Munich, but that is another day for a thing story. But just go to talking about Liverpool then. What's your overall thoughts then on the season that your football team's had then?
It's been a weird season. I think the highlight, I think we've not been very good because of the fans, not having any fans. I think we've got players who thrive off it. You look at Mane, he's never had, I don't think, less than 10 goals or league goals in a season until this season. Liverpool have never lost, I think, more than 4 consecutive home games before this season. I think not having any fans there, I think we're a club that thrive off fans. Look at the Barcelona 4-0. I was at the Dortmund game, the Klopp game, Liverpool Dortmund. Like, without fans, that comeback never happens. And I think there's certain teams that you look at, it's a bad example because Arsenal have still done badly, but you look at other teams where fans will get on top of their players. Newcastle's a good point here. And Newcastle fans would not stand Steve Bruce's football, but because there's been no fans in there, they've probably been able to get away with it, and they've actually done all right and ended up staying up in the end. But I think with the fans there, I don't think Steve Bruce stays till the end of the season. But yeah, just going back to Liverpool, I don't think not having any fans has helped at all, and the whole centre backs thing as well. It's just been a bit of a mess of a season. But to finish third and only 5 points, I think it was, behind Man United, who were title challengers at one point and all stuff like that. Like, you know, it's incredible what Klopp's done, like, to be able to turn that around. I think we were 9th at one point, lost at home to Everton for the first time in decades, and like I say, lost 6 or 7 on the spin at home. Didn't score a goal from open play for about 2 months in the Prem, I think, something along those lines, and to still finish third. It's a good job, but it's also goes to show how much of a weird season it's been. It's been a poor season overall, I think.
Aye, I just touched on there, the injury issues did not help Liverpool out at all. Like, losing Van Dijk, I think, is the worst possible thing that could happen. Like, if you look at any team in the world, if they had a Van Dijk sort of figure in there, like, that's the guy you'd want to protect at all costs. I think losing him, sort of like Trent and Robertson, they all feel more calm defensively with him there. And then when they've had to play with Nat Phillips, Reece Williams at the back, it's 2 sort of inexperienced heads, and they've now to be the experienced defenders. Alisson as well, aye.
Looks half the goalkeeper without Van Dijk there, but it's the whole team as well. Like, I've seen a few articles about it where it's like Liverpool play so much deeper now because they haven't got the protection of Van Dijk or whatever, and it just affects the whole team. And it's easy for opposition fans to say, well, one man team or whatever. But like, you take a player out of any team, then it's going to affect them in a negative way. And then you take the second best player in that position out of the team, and then the third and the fourth, and then it's just like having Henderson at centre back, and then he got injured, and what was it, 21 different centre back partnerships or something, like, mad. It was only the last game of the season that we fielded a team from the last Premier League game, which was the same team, I think. So we didn't play the team all season that was the same until the very last day of the season. So it was a bit of a shit season, but still, to come third is unbelievable at the end of the day.
Nah, for Liverpool Champions League football, like, gets you up there, gets you linked with names like Jadon Sancho. Mbappe has been linked for a few years now. Obviously, that's a dream for Liverpool fans. But really good end to the season. The last 10 games are really good, bar maybe the Leeds and Newcastle where you should have won. But beating Man United 4-2 at Old Trafford, big statement as well.
It also kind of seemed to fall into place a little bit towards the end of Alisson's header and all these little sort of funny kind of stories that were coming out of it. And even like Gareth Southgate dropping Trent, I feel like after that his form just improved so much. Like sometimes I think it's easy to have a go at managers, especially Southgate. Like I'm not the biggest Southgate fan in the world, I'll be honest, but I think in him dropping Trent for an England squad, I think probably made him look at himself and somehow come out of that, and he's got a reaction. Players, I think managers sometimes have to get reactions out of players, and it was funny to see that it wasn't even the Liverpool manager who got that reaction out of him. It felt a little bit like a masterstroke from Southgate in a way.
Because like, right after that, if I remember rightly, it was Aston Villa, and he scored that goal to get the victory in the last few minutes in Arsenal away as well, where he got that cross for Diego Jota in as well. You could see the emotion pouring out of him that's what it meant to him, and he's got himself back in there in the Euros. We'll talk. So as I said, Trent found his way back into the England squad. I'll come to you, English supporter, obviously. How do you feel seeing that 26-man squad, and do you feel that there's anybody missing for it, or was that the squad you would have took?
Pretty good. For me, I'd love to have Jamie Vardy in it. Like I'd love to have seen Gareth Southgate going and trying to get him out of retirement, or maybe bring in Danny Ings. But apart from that, I'm fairly happy with it. Yeah, it's more the starting lineups for me. If he starts Sterling, if he stays, loyal to some of his older, ones that he was with in the last World Cup and that, and has Sterling and Trippier, I'd be a bit frustrated. But the squad I'm happy with. It's all about who actually plays, I think.
Because he could set up with a back five. I've seen with him taking that many right backs now. Kyle Walker might deputise a centre half. So what do you see is the best system for Southgate to play?
I honestly think it depends on games, and I also think like the media are going mental about this 4 right backs thing. But at the end of the day, like Kyle Walker can then slip in, like say, as a centre back, as the third sort of one on the right hand side there, with like a Trent or a Trippier or a Reece James playing actually on the right. And then if there was any huge injury crisis, it probably won't happen. But Reece James could slip into the centre as well, or play right back and or centre mid or whatever, or defensive mid. So they're very versatile. I think a lot of the players are very versatile. You look at the attackers nowadays, and Mount, Foden, all these players can play across a number of positions. I feel like that's the same in defence as well. Like I feel like players can play left or right, or they can go slip into centre half, or they can play more of a midfield. You know what I mean? Like it's very fluid these days.
But Bukayo Saka is a really good sort of example of that. He can play left back, left wing, centre attacking mid, right wing. He can play anywhere. That's the sort of player I feel that you need in a tournament list.
I doubt he'll even get any minutes. Saka, he strikes me as the kind of player that if we lose against Croatia and Scotland and we're not even going to go through and we've got a game left, then he'll probably play Saka sort of thing. But yeah, I can't see Saka playing too much. I think he has to play. He's got to play Foden. He's got to play Grealish for me as well. But I can see him just, going well defensive and playing a few holding mids and sticking Sterling on. And I don't think Sterling deserves to be there. He deserves to be in the squad just about, but I don't think he deserves to start.
He's one of them that, like when you look at the Champions League final for the weekend as well, Pep played him on merit for his past form.
Just because what he's done over the past few years, and he thought Champions League final, huge moment for the club. We've got to stay loyal to these players, but it backfired because look what happened. You know
exactly.
What I mean? Like, I hope England don't go down that route, but you see managers doing it, don't you? Like the pressure must get to them, and they just fold, sort of thing. And I think it's easy for England managers to do the easy option. All we've ever done at the last Euros, we took Jack Wilshere when he didn't play. I don't think he played a minute of football pretty much all season, but he basically gained fitness like on the last day of the season. And he didn't take Danny Drinkwater, who was the best midfielder in the Prem that season, won the Prem with Leicester. And then he didn't take him, but he took Jack Wilshere because he plays for Arsenal. I think it's easy for a manager to play all those players who, I think that's Hodgson, that tournament, yeah. And it's easy, these managers to play players because they play for Arsenal or Man United. And then even if they get sacked, it's a little bit like, well, I did play the forthcoming in trying to bring through like other players or like take a risk. They won't take a risk and play the informed players who are at a smaller club or whatever. So England always do that. Will always go off name, always go off reputation. Played Rooney a little bit too late. Like we kept him going with England for a long time and he probably shouldn't have been playing. And it's just stuff like that always seems to happen with us, which is a shame. But yeah, I'm happy with the squad. And, you know, we did well in the last World Cup. Did have a few easy draws and stuff like that. Like the road to the semi-final wasn't that hard. We got faced with Croatia, and again, like people like to make out that Croatia are this. They are an amazing team. Don't get me wrong, but again, we got 60 million people in England, the best league in the world, some of the best history of teams and players, and just to roll over and be like, yeah, 3 million people in Croatia, they deserve to beat us. I think our mentality is wrong sometimes. For England to go 5 at the back and 2 defensive mids, it's like, why can't we go out and be the team that are dominating the ball and playing amazing football and outscoring teams and stuff? It's like,
aye. When I look at England, that's what England should be. Like, with this current squad, like you look at Harry Kane, scores goals and goals. You've got your attacking options. Foden, probably one of the best upcoming talents in the world at the moment. You've got Sancho, Grealish, Rice, Phillips, like all these players, like Rashford as well. You forget about him at times because there's so many attacking options in that team. Like as you say, you should be trying to just blow away teams with that, in my opinion.
I know what you mean. Yeah, it's like there's a strange like aura around England in that we don't want to do badly, so we'll kind of set up that way. If you know, we'll set up not to lose. I feel like maybe we won't set up not to lose. I feel like the sentiment with the camps, like the camps and the tournaments, is that not to lose sort of thing, and we'll like that's why I think we always go to penalties, is because we won't risk it to go and win it. Like look how many tournaments we've been knocked out on penalties. We've surely got to be the most nation ever to have been knocked out on pen. And I think like surely if we'd gone for it a bit more, you look at the Sven years, we always would have played 4-4-2, and it's like where's the innovation? We've got St. George's Park, that amazing training and facility for the England players and stuff. And it's like, where's the innovation? Where's the, Guardiola tactics to do different things and stuff? Maybe it comes down to the managers. I don't know, but we tried it with Hello. Maybe he wasn't the right guy. We had Sven, who was a foreign manager, and maybe we don't have the English managers. Who's the best English manager at the moment? Who's the highest up in the Prem? You got like Sean Dyche, we've had Eddie Howe in recent years. Still, I don't think they're, top level managers.
Exactly, that kind of manager you're looking for to take England forward. Like, don't get me wrong, Sean Dyche, really good manager, but I think he's suited to a team like Burnley because that's his style. I don't feel like him going into England is going to make them any better than they are currently with Southgate. But Lewis, what's your opinion on the whole England squad?
I just wanted to. Well, if you're talking about somebody that's perfect, I would say somebody like Frank Lampard. I think just for the youthfulness and probably more likely to understand the players and maybe understand the fans' frustration in terms of when you're talking about the Sven years and the Fabio Capello. Do you know what I mean? I think he would definitely. The players you were talking about that, do you know what I mean? You wanted in the squad, but he hasn't thing with like Vardy or things like that. Say at the centre back area, I'm looking at somebody like Connor Cody, who's finished 13th for Wolves. I'm just looking at why would somebody like Connor Goldson not be given a sort of look in? He's just won the league unbeaten. So
true. Yeah. I know. One of the best defensive records out of any European team probably as well that he's been a part of. And that's a strange one. I guess the sentiment is that the Scottish League isn't as strong. I mean, that's got to be one of the only reasons. But yeah, if you could probably put Connor Goldson in Wolves' team. Absolutely no trouble. You know what I mean? Like I'm sure he'd be in there competing with Cody or at Villa with Mings or whatever. But at the moment, England just haven't really got the centre backs. But you look at the years gone by, we had Terry, Campbell, Ferdinand, Carragher, Ledley King was incredible at points, and Woodgate. We had some great centre backs. Didn't do anything.
Yeah, it's sort of. Is he still here?
Aye, if you want, yeah.
There you go.
No, just as I say, with Connor Goldson, I do agree with that. But I just think, as you're saying, England do pick the big names sometimes, and they don't give people who do deserve a look in. But I would also say I was a bit shocked you didn't say my man Patrick Bamford there as well. Come on, 17 goals or something in the Premiership.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm still not hugely sold on Bamford. I'd still probably have took maybe Watkins ahead of him. I know that
There we go.
Bamford's scored a lot of goals, but Still, look, we've got Harry Kane. I mean, whoever comes as a second striker isn't probably going to get much of a look in anyway.
Oh, absolutely not. Absolutely not. I agree with you there. But no, just overall, I would just say I'm looking forward to the Scotland and England game, and I'm looking forward to it, mate. I'm just hoping that we can get the job done.
I'm gonna be mad.
So
what
how
are you
is
two
that
doing
going
for it?
to?
Will you just be watching it at home, or
Aye, that
travel down,
probably be just home because the whole what's it called again, the Glasgow Green thing happened and all the tickets sold out for that. So the probably just watching it in the house, watch it with mates or stuff like that.
To be honest, I don't think I would travel unless it's Rangers going Champions League, hopefully. To be honest with you, that's the only time I'm going anywhere.
Yeah, fair enough.
Which kind of games you're watching in the house, to be honest.
Right, so were you being an English guy living in Scotland, how hard is that going to be for you to back England in public?
I'll probably be in England for the game. I'm going to be doing a lot of going in between the both, I think. So, yeah, I'll probably be in England down there for that one. But I'm going to be up here, hopefully, for the Czech Republic game. I'd love to see that in Glasgow somewhere. But it's a good thing that England have drawn Scotland. Like I quite like that. You know, I've made a bit of a name in, you know, making Scottish videos and stuff, and I'm obviously English, but I'd say I'm probably the most positive person about Scottish football outside of anyone in Scotland, if you know what I mean. So I really love the game up here. I love to promote the clubs and the nation and stuff like that. But yeah, just been trying to, you know, spread the word about Scottish football and then being an Englishman. It's a nice tie-in, I suppose, that England playing Scotland should, you know, do good for content as well. Like, I've got to know so many Scottish people like yourselves, of course, who are in the YouTube and Scotland and football world. And then obviously I'm hugely connected to England, friends, family, club I support, you know, where I grew up and stuff. So yeah, it's nice that we've drawn Scotland. Like it's certainly a big occasion, especially for the game to be at Wembley, because you look back to the Gaza game and all that kind of stuff as well. The Tartan Army always overtake Trafalgar Square and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's really interesting. It's cool that we've drawn each other, I think.
So what's your thoughts going into it then? Like, Scotland's team obviously not as good as England's. A lot of people are doubting us to even get any points, get out of the group of that. But England v Scotland's always going to be an occasion, as you said. How do you see it going?
Well, when it's these big games, like the Scotland players are going to be so up for it, aren't they? Like, I think on paper and all that kind of stuff sort of goes out the window a little bit, like the on paper teams. Obviously it counts for something when you've got better players, but on an occasion like this, like when you've just got to run that extra yard, go that bit quicker, make a tackle a bit harder or whatever, I feel like Scotland will get up for that. But again, it's quite a funny group that we've all the teams in there. You can look at all the different kind of side stories that come off it. You've got the rivalry between England and Scotland, which is huge. You've got England against Croatia. We always mess everything up against Croatia. The last World Cup. You remember when we didn't qualify for the Euros in 2008? Steve McLaren, the Wally with the brolly. I don't know if you remember that. That was against Croatia. We've had a few tussles with them over the past, 10, 15 years. And then you've got Scotland, Czech Republic, which obviously look at the stuff that happened with Slavia and Rangers. Like, it's all these different little stories in our group that I quite like. And it's going to be an interesting group, I think. But in terms of the actual game, England and Scotland, the occasion's going to be massive. The whole nation's going to stop to watch it. But I think I've got a feeling it'll be a boring game. I think, everyone's buzzing for it, but it'll be 0-0, 1-0 or 2-1 to England. There won't be more than a goal in it. It'll be tight. It'll be tight. Scotland will not want to give much away.
That's Steve Clarke. That's Steve Clarke's way. That I wouldn't say he's a bit of a negative manager. He goes into games and he tries to get results with playing. We'll probably play 5 at the back as well. You've got our man Nathan Patterson, who I'm praying starts at least 1 or 2 games anyway over O'Donnell. Our defence isn't great. We've got Declan Gallagher, who's now joined Aberdeen. We've got Tierney, who will be deputising as a centre half. Robertson. I'd say as we get more up the field, we get better. Our midfield's really good with McTominay, McGinn, Callum McGregor. I feel Ryan Jack will be a big miss even still in there. Ryan Fraser, Che Adams now. I feel
that's almost like a signing, isn't it? That's almost like you've signed him.
I know
in a
it's,
weird
it's a
way.
weird one, but he's done well in the last run as well. And aye, as you say, it could either be one of them that's high scoring, really entertaining game, or it's just going to be a dull sort of occasion. But what's your thoughts on it, Lewis?
Well, you're missing the new Champions League winner there, Jack, and Billy Gilmore.
Oh,
He will
Billy,
be
of
part the
course.
squad.
Oh, yeah.
Can't forget, but no, I'm just looking forward to it. Do you know what I mean? I'm just counting down the days, mate. I'm looking forward to it. Probably, you just cussed it. It's going to be a boring game now. Do you know what I mean? England are probably going to win it like 2-0 or something. Do you know what I mean? We'll be.
I feel like both nations won't want to give a lot away, sort of
No.
thing, and it'll
Mhm.
probably come down to a Kane penalty or a scuff deflected goal or something. But
Something like that.
remember, was it the last time we played a competitive game? Was the Griffiths game? Was that right?
Aye, Griffiths
Aye.
game, aye, 2 free kicks. Aye.
Do you know what I mean? Like, we were probably better on paper. Well, we would have been better on paper then as well when it was 2-2. You know, like who
Mhm.
knows when we.
Exactly. A lot to play for in the group. I think it's going to be a really tight one as well. 4 really
You
good
can
sides in
also
there.
come third and still qualify, can't you?
Aye,
Can you?
I'm sure. Aye. So,
Can
so
you?
how does that
Yeah.
actually work? Do you know?
There's 6 groups. There's 6 groups, so I think it's top 2, and then 4 of the best third place teams go through or something.
It brings a bell, aye. So you look at it that way, it could happen in Scotland's favour. But I'm looking forward to it, but I'm not hopeful personally. But we'll see how it goes with that group. So Sam, who's your underdog? We'll say the tournament. Who do you feel that has got a good team? For me personally, I think Turkey are looking pretty good going into this one. A lot of good players in there. Burak Yilmaz, of course, winning the league in with Leo and stuff like that. So who's your underdog?
Underdog. I think this sounds really weird, right? The group of death. Hungary have got to play Germany, Portugal, and France.
Aye.
Mm-hmm.
But Hungary's is the only stadium out of all 11 that have got 100% capacity. So and Hungary are going to be playing there. So I've got a feeling that, I know you asked me like who the underdog's going to be, but I think one of the biggest flops is going to be, I think Hungary won't get knocked out of that group. I think they might come third or second in that group. I know it sounds mental. Look, whoever like has a bad result first out of the 3 big teams in that group is going to be chasing it. I can honestly see France or Portugal having a mare and coming bottom and going home. Look at Germany in the last World Cup. They went out the stages even though they won it the tournament before. Portugal are holders. That doesn't always mean a good thing. I think that's can be added pressure, but they've improved a lot since the other Euros team, I think. Again, on paper, but you get to a tournament, you lose your first game or you draw your first game and you're chasing it and it's a different sort of kettle of fish. So I think, honestly, I think a surprise package could be Hungary playing at home in front of 100% capacity crowd. Honestly,
that's actually a good way to put it. I heard it here first, for Sam. But Germany really underperformed in the last tournament. Spain as well, after their heroics for the Euros and that.
Doesn't look great.
Hey. No. Let's not be doing that, because let me tell you something. I'm going with the Spanish. I feel the Spanish. It's either Spanish or Italians that are taking us home. I'm telling you.
I think, honestly, I thought the Italians, could be a good shout. But there's something about Spain's squad. You look at Spain's team that won the Euros, 2 Euros they won in a row, didn't they? Like Villas, Torres, Iniesta, Xavi's, Ramos. Like you look at it now, it's just a shadow of those teams.
Aye.
I can't see a shadow of those teams winning it, honestly.
Well, Lewis is your representative up here. He watches a lot of Spanish football with Atletico Madrid. So talk to us then. Why should we look for Spain?
Because I'm telling you right now, son, everyone, I'm telling you around Europe is keeping their eyes on Marcus Llorente. That boy is a fantastic footballer, I'll tell you that right now. Trippier, see if Trippier was Spanish, he'd be in that team. I'll tell you that. No. But no, I just think Spain overall, you look at the boy that was playing for Villarreal in the final there against Manchester United. Forgot his name.
But the striker that scored?
Aye, striker. Aye.
Moreno.
He'll have a big tournament. I feel like he'll have a big tournament. But to be honest with you, mate, I'm more focused on Scotland. I'm telling you right now, we're going to shock a lot of people. Steve Clarke, he's come for... I don't really want Steve Clarke to do into this tournament to beat England. So we can sack him, maybe get Callum Davison in or something. I don't know, but...
Is your underdog, is Scotland, Lewis, aye?
No, my underdog is Scotland.
You go with Scotland?
Who else is playing at this tournament? I couldn't tell you. I just know the big cats are playing. Maybe the Dutch. What are the Dutch doing these days?
I think they're going to struggle as well.
Well, listen, everyone goes on about the big players and all that, but seeing it's a tournament, that's what I'm on about. It's all about your country, your shirts, you know what I mean? Your lot should have beat Iceland. What happened there? You know what I mean? That's what I'm on about.
Done by a long throw.
Well,
Exactly.
that's what I'm on about, though. Anything can happen at these tournaments, so we'll see what happens. I just think it'll be hopefully.
It'll be time for Belgium to finally, go that extra step.
They're going to be my flop. I'm going with them as a flop of the tournament.
You're going with the flop.
I don't think they're going to do anything. Not with that. Wally as their manager. I'll tell you that. I don't rate him whatsoever.
I think De Bruyne could be a big miss for them if he doesn't make it. I feel if they had him in it, I think they would have been really suited because Lukaku's had a great season. De Bruyne, obviously, great season. They two linking up with each other. But I feel like Belgium's squad, for what it was maybe in the 2018 World Cup, they've aged a lot. Since then, Hazard has fallen off completely and stuff like that. So they were my pick for the 2018 one. But
cares about football anymore, Hazard?
He just, even in the semi-final against Chelsea, you were expecting, he starts, he's against Chelsea, he's going to turn up. But even then,
did you see him at the end of the match, like laughing with all the players and that? I know, like, you can be friends with players and stuff, but you've just been knocked out of the Champions League. You know what I mean? Like,
exactly.
Where's the passion?
But just to hang me in there. I mean, I know the Euros is going to be a big, massive thing, but for me, I'm watching for my boy Alfredo Morelos. I'm hoping that this Copa America can get played a bit heavier. I'm watching for Alfredo. I'm keeping an eye out for Glenn as well. Finland, there's a shout there, Jack. You want a dark horse there? There's a shout.
Aye.
We Glenn Kamara.
Team of Pookie, aye. Plenty of good nations.
Scandinavian derby against Denmark as well, so that could be a big game.
And the Danes as well, really good side. They're looking as well. Yusuf Poulsen, Eriksson. Definitely a lot of good teams in there that I feel it could be underrated. Turkey, as I said, my pick for that one. But going on to the winner then, who's going to outlast everybody and become Euro champions? Who's it for you, Sam?
I honestly don't think. I think a lot of people are saying France and Portugal, but I feel like that's too easy. I reckon Italy might do it.
Mm-hmm.
Again, like 2000, it's been a while since they've won anything, but they are a good. They are good every decade or two. They'll win something, won't they? It's been 2006 since they last won something. Got to the final in 2012 where they lost against one of the greatest international teams in Spain of all time. So, yeah, I think, you always go into it thinking probably Italy won't win it, especially in 2006. I don't think many people would have thought they'd have done as well in 2012 as well. Second, maybe they would. But again, like, they don't strike you as a team full of stars. Look at Belgium. Everyone thinks, they've got an amazing squad. But then again, the team spirit doesn't really seem to be there in the tournaments. So I think, Italy, for some reason, they always, every, decade, 2 decades, they'll all come together and achieve something. They've won 4 World Cups. I'm not sure how many Euros they've won. I'm sure they've won a few, but I think, it's probably Italy.
If you look at Italy's team as well now, maybe with the loss of players like Pirlo and that over the years, they've took a while to get back. But they've got some great talent coming through. Barella, Insigne's a bit older now, but Ciro Immobile's a proven goal scorer. Chiesa as well. They've got loads of good talent in there, and I wouldn't be surprised to see Italy actually go and do well in this tournament, or as it could be, they could just fall off. You never know.
But then again, I don't think Portugal will do that well. I think it's always easy to go with the holders. I think it's so hard to defend anything like this.
Mm-hmm.
Then again, I don't quite think France will do it, but any team with Kante in, as Chelsea proved, can do anything. He's unreal, man.
Aye.
You don't think a little, wiry centre mid can be such a match winner when he doesn't score, he doesn't assist, but he has such an influence on games. It's actually mad.
Aye, the Champions League final was the pinnacle of that. He was unbelievable. He was just everywhere all the time, and that could be a big thing for France. Kylian Mbappe, obviously, name speaks for itself, could do stuff. Benzema back, I feel that's massive for France. Great striker. I feel France could be up there, as you said. They're maybe your ones to fall off, but I'm going to big up Portugal. I feel that since the 2016 tournament, they've really improved a lot of areas. Like, look at the guy Ed Ayer, who scored the winning goal for them. He's nowhere to be seen anywhere near that squad anymore. And you look at who they've got now. They've got Cancelo, Ruben Diaz, Bruno Fernandes, Sergio Oliveira for Porto, Bernardo Silva, players like that. They've got a really good squad. It's up to them now to see if they can actually all work together, similar to Belgium in a tournament. And as you said, it's going to be hard for them to defend it, but I personally think Portugal could really make a stamp on this.
Nations League as well, didn't they? So.
Aye, they could definitely do something within this tournament anyway. Portugal is for me. Lewis, who are you going for?
I'm sorry, but I'm backing the Spanish. I'm telling you. I'm going for the Spanish. Who's it? The was at Barcelona. What's his name? Luis Enrique. Is it?
Enrique, is he the manager of Spain? Aye.
The manager. Aye. So let's put some respect there. I'm sorry, that man's a Champions League winner. You know, but if I'm just going with the Spanish, I'll back the Spanish. But I'll be just watching for the Rangers players. To be honest with you. As soon as we get back for the Champions League games, mate, that's what I'm looking forward to the most.
That's what we'll be doing videos on. We'll be looking in detail at like Glenn Kamara, Barisic, Patterson if he gets any game time and stuff like that.
Barisic.
Aye, so we'll be looking at the players really closely to see how they do. But is there anything else you would like to touch on, Sam, about the Euros? Before we sort of wrap up.
Very, very excited for it. I just think it's a shame that there's not more for fans to do. Like, I've got a bit of a gripe with the fact that there's just one fan zone and everything's sold out and there's nothing else to do, because the government say don't congregate, there's nothing for you to do. All that's going to make people do is congregate in unofficial spaces. They might as well have just put on a load of stuff in safe COVID areas or whatever that we could have all just been getting on with and having a fun time. But the fact that they've just done nothing about it, I think that people are going to do stuff anyway. It's the Euros. We're just coming out of the lockdown, and England and Scotland have just got to the first tournament in ages. There's nothing for anyone to do. It's like such a shame, but I hope that everyone can just enjoy it and try and find stuff to do and watch it with all their mates and family.
That's the main thing. Summer tour, I love an international tournament in the summer for all those reasons. And as you said about the government, they've handled it not poorly, because they've actually put out a fan zone to try and accommodate for people. But as I said, the tickets were sold out within a minute online. You can't even go to.
Yeah, there's just not enough for fans. Like, especially when no one can be at the games as well. It's like, come on, give us something here. But yeah, it's I wish there was more to do. Maybe they'll release more stuff coming up in the next few weeks. I'm not sure.
No, we'll just need to wait and see. But Lewis, is there anything else you would like to touch on before we wrap up?
I would just like to thank Sam for coming on and tell people to check out his channel. It's a really good footballing channel if you're a real diehard football fan, and does really shine a light on Scottish football and shows, English fans around the world that we're a decent wee nation when it comes to football, I'd say anyway. But I'd just like to thank you for coming on again.
No worries, mate. Really enjoyed it. Loved it.
Aye, thank you very much for your time, mate. As always, our podcast will be available on Spotify and our YouTube channel as well. If you want to like and share it about, subscribe to the channel as well, it'd be much appreciated. And that'll be the podcast. Thank you very much for coming on, Sam. Cheers.